So, welcome to episode 11 of the van build. And I thought I'd just do a quick update in the midst of all the corona stuff. Whilst everyone else has been hoarding toilet paper and canned goods, I've been trying to hoard van bits. I continue doing stuff in social distancing times. So today is it's a Sunday, and I'm doing some bits on the van, and I've got an idea of what I want to do today, and that's sort of what's been most useful, to be fair, is having ideas, setting myself goals before I start the day of things I want to do, rather than just getting to the point where it gets to midday and sort of milling around trying to think of ideas. But yeah, I'm in the first garage, which is sort of where I've set up a little workbench area, big enough for me to be able to get big bits of ply and cut it. Obviously I've got my chop saw, random other bits of tools and etc. Again, I've been very fortunate to have the space to do this. I had to do some big ply cutting once at my parents' house, and they have a big double garage, but it's full of crap, so they don't have the space to do this. So I was having to do it outside on like old, flimsy plasterboard tables and all sorts. So I am quite fortunate in having the space to do this. But random wood store, hoarding, and if we go into garage number 2, seats. I've got a single seat now, passenger seat, which was in the other day when me and Megan were in the van, but I've taken it out because I'm doing some work on the battery stuff soon. So yeah, that's the single passenger seat, and the double passenger seat. A couple of bugbears, really. The annoying thing is with the double passenger seat. Hang on, bear with. Finally got there. Obviously you've got the ability to like flip out the seat, which means it's very easy when the battery was here in the van to be able to disconnect, play with something or other. But with the single passenger seat, you can't do that. If you want to play around with the battery, you've got to take the seat off, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, especially at the moment when I'm doing quite a lot of work on it and I'm having people ride passenger. But when it comes to actually being finished, I just got to remember to carry the right ratchet socket to be able to undo that. Otherwise you're going to be in a sticky situation if you need to quickly do something on the battery or the inverter or whatever else underneath that seat. Anyway, I've got the base and the seat for £200, which is not too bad. Doesn't swivel or anything like that, but we'll cross that bridge. One quick thing about the seat though, it's useful to know. There's this little whatchamacallit plug here, and what that is a sensor for whether or not this is plugged in and whether or not it senses something on weight on the seat. So you can disconnect that, undo the bolts in the seat that hold it to the base, but before you turn the ignition on, even after you've put the other seat on, because the single passenger ones don't come with the that sensor, you need to buy a resistor which just sends the signal back to the engine to stop the warning light coming up on the dash. Essentially the warning light is that you've got a passenger and he's not got a seatbelt on, but obviously you don't have the seat anymore. So I'll stick a link in the description for the one that I brought. Plug it in and that stops the alarm going off. Other than that, hopefully at some point I'll come to sell this seat and the associated floor mat, which I don't know if anyone's going to want that because they look quite old and sort of bussy, but I need to buy a new floor mat. What else have we been hoarding? Obviously got my bed, foam for the kitchen sort of dining seats. That's what I'm planning to do today, is to make them properly, and then I can start Megan on doing some crafting stuff. I've got a shower tray at some point I'll be fitting, and this is the Famia 70 litre indoor water tank, which is going to be our not fresh water, I suppose, not drinking water but fresh water, i.e. like for showering, for washing up, etc. I'm going to hopefully have another one for drinking water, just because this might be filled up from like a hose, which you can drink from, but when you're someplace abroad, possibly not. And then we can have a clean one for definitely drinking water. Yeah, to the van. So yeah, this is the obviously with the single passenger base. At some point, I'm hoping that what I'm going to buy is two 120 amp batteries, and then they're going to fit in there, and then I can sort of sort this out now that I have the base. I can screw everything down, I can attach the MPP charger to like the side or something like that so it's not loose, and then possibly also have my inverter close by, or possibly in there, because the short cables and the amount of power that goes through them, they all need to be quite close together. I brought some thermal blinds, which sort of work and give a bit of privacy in the front, because this seat hopefully will swivel at some point. I'll buy a swivel base to give a bit of privacy, and then if not, then I plan to have a big curtain sort of along here, which is going to give a bit more thermal properties and privacy. But as you can see, I started on the kitchen frame. The fridge is still pending gas and electric work, but that's basically done. It's in there, and once that's gas and electric and all that's done, I can then start to tidy it up, knowing that that's the position it's all going to be in, but leaving that for the time being. Then working on the kitchen. This is the frame basically where it's going to be. The height I just took from the height of the kitchen in the house, and hopefully what's going to happen is, I think I have an oven, but we'll see whether it works or not. It's another one of those dodgy jobs which doesn't work at the moment, but hopefully we're going to fix, like the fridge. But that's going to go here. It's a 4 burner, one electric, 3 gas, oven and grill. That'll go there, and then we'll have some sort of sink area here with a water button, some cupboards and etc. But what I have been doing is, obviously I've made this plywood cutout for the sides of the seating area here, painted those two as well. Bit of a pain in the ass because you have to take it back out again, especially this one, because I have to take out the where I've mounted the all the fuses and electrical stuff. But yeah, so this seat is now in there, and it gives a lot more rigidity to everything else in the van, because now instead of being single units like fridge and bed, they're sort of connected, and everything's sort of connected to either the floor that I've screwed into the chassis, or the sides, which is obviously screwed into the chassis. So yeah, it's looking good. I'll do this one today once I've done this panel here, and then I can start to build up that, and then I can do the plywood for the seats, the tops, and then the foam, and then we can work out the back. And essentially most of the back of the van is done now. I've got to do like the little side panels, which are going to be something about that, because of where the bed is. You have this gap down the side, which is quite useful to put stuff in, phones, books, whatever. So I've got to build something like that, and once that's built, and you can see these little glowing blue sort of lights. What they are essentially is just the USBs, and they're going to be 2 either side, or 2 at the back, 1 either side of the bed, and they're going to go into that little compartment as well, so you've got a USB next to your bed. But also I've got 1 USB for this side, 1 USB for that side, and 1 240 plug, another one there. And what that's going to be is, once I've done the foam and I know the height of the bed, the height of the seat, sorry, I'm going to router out a small sort of cutout, like a little cubby hole essentially, a little cupboard so you can put stuff in when you're sitting there, charge your phones, etc. And they're going to have the associated plugs, the USB and the 230 in there. And then we've got another plug down here, which is going to be sort of near the kitchen somewhere. Haven't quite worked out where it's going to be yet. Might even be on the side of the kitchen, depending on how long that wire is. And yeah, that's basically it. There's lots of small bits going on, but I'm starting to see progress. Once the bed's done, and I'm sort of just holding that off because I don't think I hoarded enough wood for that, or plywood, and I haven't quite worked out what I'm doing yet. Once that's done, then basically from here backwards, at the top level is done. Everything underneath I'm going to leave, because I've got to put in the water butt down here somewhere, the gas, the water heater and the space heater or boiler, if I combine the two, all sort of in this gap here, tidied away so I can get to it, and then sort of board off between that and the garage, and then the garage will probably be left because that's sort of the last thing that's useful. That's just sort of like a tidy up really. And oh yeah, sorry, the spare wheel, that's the other thing as well, lots of things. This van doesn't have a spare wheel holder, which is a pain in the ass, and I think that's because it was an old DPD like delivery van, and if one of them ever broke down, they just sort of bring out the fleet management company that manages their vans. It's a pain in the ass, it never came one, so I had to buy one, which is fine. They're only about 50 quid. I had the spare wheel, but not the carrier. But what this van also doesn't have is the little drop-down mounts that come off the chassis to attach the spare wheel carrier to. So I'm having to get my brother to sort of make some, basically, little metal brackets. And I need that done. One, so I have the spare wheel on, and then if we go away in the summer, if we're ever allowed to leave the house, I have a spare wheel just in case it breaks down. But also, now that I have the freshwater 70 litre tank, at some point I'm going to buy the waste one, and the waste one's going to be underneath the van, just so the fresh one's going to have a pump in it, so it can pump the water to anywhere, even if it's like above, even if it's below where it's going to, whereas the waste one needs to be as low as possible so that everything can sort of trickle down onto it. So putting holes through the van to then trickle out is probably the best way. And that attaches between the spare wheel carrier and the the backs of where the drivetrain is for the van. So I need to sort all that out. So lots of things going on, but it's good because we're getting somewhere, and I'm coming up to a year now having the van, and because of the time that I've not been doing it, it's not been too, haven't done so much in such a small space of time. But now I'm trapped in the house, the van's outside the house, probably annoying the neighbours, but quarantine is useful for some things. Anyway,